Hey guys, it's Dan with Outdoor Survival, and today I'm going to be going over kit mentality, so stay with me. Alrighty, so first things first is the pack that you would be carrying all your items in. Everybody has their own opinion for what they like. What I like is a good 40-liter dry bag because of multiple reasons, and this goes back to any type of item for your survival kit. It needs to be multi-functional and have multi-uses. Now this dry bag, it keeps all my gear inside dry, which is very important. And then reason number two, if I needed to get across a river that was really deep, or I had to float down river for some reason, the dead airspace in this bag could kind of act as almost like a life jacket in a way. And then also for another reason is if I needed to, I could take all my items out of my kit and fill this up with water. If my camp was far away from a water source, I'd have a bunch of water that I could process. But this is what I like to use, and I just got a green 40-liter dry bag. Alrighty, now in this, it's got a couple little things that you can attach onto a backpack. It's also got this carabiner hook, which is how I attached it to the bag. But basically this is just stuff that I need to get to real quick. All it's got in here right now is a little bit of cordage in the front pocket, because cordage is something I'd most likely need to start my shelters. And then here in the back, I've just got a little Altoids mint can and several cut up pieces of a bandana to make char cloth, a little plastic bag to put tinder material in, and then right here in the front I have just a little knife. Now most of the time I'd have a multi-tool in there, but just for right now I have a knife. But that's all that's in this. Alrighty, so basically the way I think of what items I put in a little kit, and this is just my everyday, if I was going out to camp for a day or two or just a daily hike, it could sustain me up for a week if need be, but in case of an emergency situation, I have this kit. And there are a few categories that I like to think about when I'm putting items in my kit, and there's about 5 or 6 I like to think about, which is food, water, shelter, fire. I like to think about cutting tools or other little tools, and first aid, because those are going to be the most general that you need. Now also, if you're planning on staying overnight, also having sleep gear is very good. And it also depends what kind of environment, weather you're going into when you're going hiking. If it's cold, you might want to set up your kit for better cold, like more extra socks in case you get wet so you don't get hypothermia, extra pairs of clothes, gloves, stuff like that for winter. And if it's hotter, maybe you want to go with a different setup. But one of my first items I have in here is a pair of emergency ponchos. I've got 2 of them, just in case. I could use that for water collection, obviously to keep rain off me so I don't get soaking wet. And then I also have this little pot, little 6-ounce pot for boiling water, collecting water, whatever the case may be. I also have an emergency blanket, which is just a Mylar reflective blanket that can be put into a shelter, wrapped around me. If it's real emergency and I'm about to freeze to death, stop me from getting hypothermia and dying, you can wrap it around you. But most likely I would use that on the inside of a shelter opposite of a fire, so that way the heat reflects back off the Mylar. And then I also have my secondary knife. I got a little Mora. And what I mean by secondary, and I've talked about this in a previous video, most likely when I go into the woods, I would have my primary knife attached to my side. So that's where my main knife would be. That's just a backup knife, so when I'm at camp, if I want to carve at wood, help set up a shelter, I have that knife, and that's what I would use. And then also in here I have a 10-liter dry bag, which, like I said earlier, if I needed to collect water and bring it back to my camp, well, I can use this instead of taking everything out of my kit. I can just fill this up, walk back to camp, and I can leave the water in this, and all my kit will still stay in one place, dry. Everything will be all right. So that's why I put that in here. And then another item I have, which is also very important, is a flashlight, an LED flashlight, and also a headlamp. And light is very important in case you need to go out during the night time, which I do not recommend, but in case you need to do a little night scout, or there's an area you want to check out, like a cave, that might be a good shelter spot. Flashlights carry their weight in gold. And then I also have my fire kit, and I just got a little pot. Not only can it keep my fire kits and stuff like that dry inside this pot, but it's also a cooking device that I can put over a fire. I'll show you guys what it looks like inside. This is just all my fire kit stuff, and basically what I have in here is a couple cotton balls, I have a couple lighters, I have some old man's beard, I got a little bit of some char cloth, I've got 2 types of ferro rods, I've got this little one right here, and then also just a little cheapy ferro rod. I've got 2 things of chapstick, and the reason I put chapstick in there is because if you add just a little bit of chapstick into something like this cotton ball, it extends the burn time, and if all the wood and kindling around you is soaking wet, that can be the difference between you getting a fire or not. And then I also have this waterproof container for stormproof matches, and I'm not all for matches because if they get wet they don't work, they're a one-time use. But stormproof matches, now I've literally stuck them in water, lit them, and they still work. I've lit them, stuck them upside down in sand, and it's burned through the sand. So these specific matches are worth their weight in gold. And the whole aspect of starting a fire is, even if it's a lighter, a cigarette lighter or whatever, you want to get a fire as quickly as possible, because that can be the difference between you living and dying in most cases. Another item I have is a first aid kit, and it's just a 140 item basic first aid kit. I'm not going to open that and go into it, but it's just a basic first aid kit in case I need it. I've got a line of paracord, because cordage is more than multifunctional, and I went with paracord instead of a bank line with this because multiple reasons. As you can tell right here, there's multiple filaments, and if need be, I could take this off a certain length, cut it off, take the filaments out and use the casing to tie a shelter together, and I still have all these filaments to do multiple things with. So that's why I went with paracord in this kit. And then I also have a bundle of some dry grass. Just in case everything is soaking wet, at least I have a tender's nest that's going to be mostly dry. It's going to be bone dry as long as it's in my dry bag. So that's why I carry that with me. And then my final item in my kit is a tarp. And this is basically just a tarp that comes in this little sack, and it's already got some cordage to attach to a tree. But this is gonna end up being my shelter, and tarps are the best. I would have a tarp in every single one of my kits, because a tarp is basically an already made shelter, and it gets no easier than that. You can make a bone structure of like a teepee, a lean-to, whatever, and add a tarp over the top of that, and you got your shelter. And not only is it going to keep the wind, rain, weather off of you, it's going to keep you insulated, and it can reflect fire. Also, if you also add a mixture of this with the Mylark blanket, you can basically create a micro bubble of just heat, and you'll survive extremely cold temperatures. And then also, one more item I have in my kit is I have this little pillow. It just comes in this little rucksack. I don't even think it's waterproof. No, I don't think it's waterproof, but yet again, it comes back to sleeping whenever you're going to be sleeping, whether it be a hammock or a raised bed. I mostly go for raised beds because they're kind of easier to manipulate. You don't have to use a lot of cordage, and this pillow will give you something comfortable to lay on and sleep on. Well guys, it's been Dan with Outdoor Survival, and thank you guys for watching this video, and I hope it helped you guys out, and maybe it'll help you guys mentalize a different kit when you go out to the wild and make you think about things that you weren't thinking about before. But thank you guys for your support, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you next time.